It is 7 o'clock, so can we make a start? Can I welcome everyone to the December FES meeting? For apologies, I think there's just Michael and Andy. Are there any declarations of interest? Exclusion of the public? Well, there are none here, but should any appear by the time we get further down the agenda, there is one private item at the end, which is item 13, and also at the same time, don't dash away after that, because I want to give you an update, just a verbal update on something. Well, myself and Gina do between us. Now, can we move to item 5 then, the minutes of the last meeting? Are there any comments on it, corrections to it? Or would someone like to move and second it? Seconded. Those in favour? Take it then. There are no comments. No? Right. Public forum. There are no public here. So item 7, financial update, A, B and C. We'll take them all together like we usually do if you want. These ones for signing.
Yeah, the line on free swimming still hasn't. Still says 0%, and it should be 50%, shouldn't it, or thereabouts?
Comments.
Well, the only one that really stands out is the one that we know about, the CCCTV.
Yeah. Are there any more comments? No?
We haven't found any, although it is difficult to get to that area, as it is behind the building. I think I spoke to Leah about it. I'll see where she's got to. It's usually Pendle that help us out with it. So yeah.
Sorry, I missed where that was. I missed the line that was referring.
It's Primer. Yeah.
There's a clue on the page. Right. I thought we took that over, that we took Primet over on the condition that Pendle dealt with it.
Yeah, but it used to be the Action EAG, who are no longer. So I'm not sure who you deal with now, but
my recollection is that there was quite a bit there, as I remember.
There was.
And we said we'd only take it fully over on condition that Pendle dealt with it. I mean, I know it's it's at least 8 years ago.
What you were calling dealt with it, and what they mean by dealt with it, it's 2 different things, I think, Howard. they said they had dealt with it because they'd removed it off site, which they did, in fairness to them. But the problem is, the site next to it is full of knotweed, and that's where it's coming from.
Well, in that case, we ought to be taking action against whoever the owner next door is to say, you know, this is a noxious weed, blah, 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 section, whatever it is, you need to get rid of it. But there is, I don't know which the legislation is, but there is scope for, if it's ending up on your land because it's next door, there's scope on taking making next door do it.
It's not an offence to have knotweed on your land, but it's an offence for you to let it to spread onto someone else's.
To pick it up and move it unless it's under controlled conditions.
Well, land adjacent to it is either Kirk Environmental or it's that stone yard, what the stone flag. It's one of the two. I don't know which it is.
I'll get I'll speak to Nathan and Leah, and we'll see if we can get someone to inspect to see if it's there, and then we'll just go through a process of trying to find out who owns the land. Yeah.
Is there anything else on these three budgets? Or would we like to move them and note them?
I'll move them, Chair.
Be seconded. Yeah, those in favour? Thank you. Item 8, implementation of the LGA Pay Award 2023-24.
Yeah, so the pay award was finally decided on the 6th of November, having been told that it would be done soon after the start of the financial year. That's back in April. But it's taken the unions this long to decide. But they have done, and it has been implemented. The award that was agreed was a flat payment rate of 1,925 on all scale points, up to from 2 to 43. So that has actually now been implemented for town council staff. We have, however, got a deficit now in the salaries budget, mainly because obviously we have an extra landsman, which wasn't budgeted for at the beginning of the year. So that's where the majority of it is. It comes to a deficit of just under £27,000. Now I'm proposing that we take the 9,000 out of the staffing reserve, but then that does leave £18,000 to find from somewhere. So hence me bringing it to this committee. Whether we just leave it to come out of general reserves at the end of the year, obviously there is quite a lot of committed expenditure that hasn't been spent yet. Whether it will be spent before the year end, I'm not actually sure if all of it will. So we may be in a slightly better position at the end of the year than it seems to be at the moment. So we could just let it go from general reserves, and then obviously you have a final transfer at the bottom of the income and expenditure.
The deficit's then what, 20? You say 27 or 26 and a bit? 20,
yeah, it's just under.
So if we call it 27, that leaves us something 18.
Yeah, well, if we take the 9,000 out, because we have a staffing earmark reserve,
that. So
that,
well,
80 means that we have a deficit.
I think the chances are there'll be something somewhere at the end of the year that's 18
the other way.
Yeah, you know, a couple of thousand here and a couple of thousand. I think rather than start shifting it around now.
Just wait. Yeah.
and do that. The other thing, of course, that I don't know, it's slightly jumping the gun because it's the next item. The national living wage that the government one is going up to whatever that's going up to.
It is. We don't have any staff on that
On that,
rate.
that's fine.
But we do have member staff on the real living wage, which has gone up.
Which I think
to
it's now
more
12.
than-
Is it
yeah,
12?
it's gone up
Yeah,
to £12 now.
that was going to be the second question.
Yes,
Or do we use the
we do. Just for the cleaner stroke caretaker, she was employed on the real living wage. So yeah, just to make you all aware that obviously that deficit does exist. And obviously we'll wait till the end of the year to see how things pan out.
I think if we knew if this was 6 months to go to the end of the year, you know, yeah, it's worth doing something. But for the sake of 3 months, it's not worth losing sleep on.
What we do have the chance of doing, although there aren't many budgets with a lot of money left in at this stage of year, but now we've got 3 lensmen and it's winter and we've no watering to do, it's possible we could put some of the work that we might normally have let out and contracted out, could put it to the lensmen and let them do it and do a recharge on their salary out of the budget for whatever, say it were bush shelters, for instance. We could do some work on the bush shelters or, you know, roadside seeds, and then do a recharge to those budgets, which would then go back into staffing salary then. We could do that. And I think we might be able to juggle a bit about. And then there might be less to sort out when it comes to end of March.
Bush shelters is only just over half spent, so that's a good one to look.
You know, rather than let someone else do it, we might as well try and do it in-house if we can, and then do a recharge and put that back into salaries budget. Won't cover all of it, but every bit will help, won't it? Is there anything else on pay award? I'm not sure what's going to happen next year. Are you, Gina?
What for the LGA?
Yeah.
I'm not sure because we probably won't know until this time next year. Obviously they were reluctant to agree this one, so obviously they didn't think that it was enough. So whether they'll try for more next year.
That is the worry, that in April they could be starting asking for another one.
And I've just put a blanket of 3% on in the budget for the increase.
Because we get budget to a minimum last year. But maybe might not be the right time to try and do it because most of the budgets are tight. But maybe in future we need to really consider having an earmarked reserve for salaries, don't we? I think. It's made it even worse because we've only just found out when it's about a fortnight, 3 weeks. It's not long since we went through the documents and approved it, is it? That we had to do it.
No.
It's only
no,
3 or
just,
4
yeah,
weeks, and it's backdated to you know, to 1st of April. And it's not from now to end of financial year we've got to find it. It's actually backdated for the whole year. So it actually comes as a bit of a shock 3/4 of the way through the year.
The only one that wasn't backdated was the real living wage. Because that just goes up every November.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everyone else's was backdated at 1st of April.
I don't think we need another earmark reserve. The danger of having too many earmark reserves is we then do nothing because we say we can't touch
Yeah.
it because it's in an earmark reserve.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just in a general pot, it's less, what's the word? Less complicated, less paperwork to just do it from that one rather than, oh, we've pinched a bit from this and the other. Because it's not as if the earmark reserves are actually set in stone, that there is nothing that stops us saying, you know, we've won the lottery, so we don't need the earmark reserves, so we could just put it in the thing. So, you know, we can count all that in. When we're calculating how much we need in reserves, I think it's perfectly legitimate to put the earmark reserves in that thing. It's just that we know that they're there for that.
No, it's not. You can't include it. You
Well-
can take it out at earmark reserves and not have an earmark reserve if you want, and have it all in a general. But you can't. If it's allocated, it's allocated. If it's earmarked, it's earmarked, and that's it.
Yeah, but in that case, what that means is we can't use it for anything else, but we do. So
Yeah, because we can vary it from one to another. You're right.
can't be both ways.
You know,
But we generally do still use it for what
I'm not.
it was
I'm not just.
intended.
All I'm saying is, you know, it then looks that we have a lot of money to the. We don't have a number 22 bus, but you know, to the man on the M4 bus going to wherever that goes to, doesn't look at that. They just look at you've got in the bank, whatever, and that, which is a tidy sum.
Although the level of our earmark reserves has reduced.
Yes.
We're starting.
nothing else on that now, is there? On salaries. So moving on then to item 9, which is the 2024-25 budget second draft.
I will just note something that if you look at the balance sheet, obviously you've got a figure on there for general reserves. Now that figure actually includes everything we've transferred from earmark reserve during the year, which is currently in the budget. So if that amount is spent, that will reduce your general reserve figure by that amount. Obviously, we have still quite a lot of committed expenditure. Whether it all will be utilised within the year, we don't actually know. So it's likely that it won't all be utilised, but that will significantly reduce that general reserve figure.
Anyone else? There is one thing going back to our phone conversation this afternoon.
Mhm.
Can you give us some sort of an indication as to how much from halfway through, well, less than halfway through the year, a month through the year, in June, how much is the gas and electric going to go up? Because that isn't taken care of in these figures, is it?
No,
Because we didn't know.
I have, I spoke to, as our contracts are now in the renewal window, they usually say 12 months before. I approached a comparison site and I actually spoke to someone today. Now he was telling me, I said, really, I want to just get an indication of how much. I'm expecting it to go up, obviously, because we're on good rates at the moment, and we set those rates before the energy crisis. So as we were speaking, basically it looks like it will double from what the rates will double from what they are now, which suggests, even though it's halfway through the year, we will have another £17,000 to find. Yes. I've only put 30% increase from in the budget, and obviously it's going to be more like 100% than 30%. So that is not accounted for. So that will be about 17,000, 20,000-ish. We've also had news of new prices coming through for software that we have, and they've substantially increased theirs more than I thought. I put like 5% on and they've increased it by 10%. So
we've got to go back to some of these and say, don't be silly. You know, we'll settle for 7.5 in the end or whatever. You know, I don't think we should just accept that they're going to try and get the. I mean, presumably this is the software we're
yes,
talking about.
and allotments and
Well,
everything that goes with it. Yeah. But they, in recent years, they hadn't increased the prices
yeah,
so
well,
much. But obviously they've now joined with a new company. And they've got different elements. They're offering different services. And I think as part of that package, they obviously have had to increase the prices. So they've sent something through saying these are our prices for 24, 25.
well, I don't think we should just say, yeah, we're going to accept it. I think we say, come on, you know, we've been a good customer. We've had it for the last.
I don't think it's negotiable. I think
But we don't know until we try. We can't just roll over every time somebody says wrong expression, but we can't just agree to everything that somebody says, or else we'll never. They'll just keep adding it, you know.
yeah. But if I had to query every price increase that we have, I'd never get anything done.
Well, but equally, if we don't, we're in the position of unacceptable precept, right, or council tax rises. You know, if we were to say because our costs have generally gone up 50%, or in the case of the gas and electric, you know, about 100%, we're just going to do that to our council tax precept figure. We'll be strung up from the.
Yeah, but we're not saying that. We're saying 27%.
Yeah, but everybody out there is going to say, I've not had a 27% rise in my wages and all the, you know, we have to really. I know it's nitpicking, but we have to go through and let's see what can be either done more efficiently, cheaper, whatever. We can't just we can't just keep accepting. I mean, I don't know how much is the software cost? Save me
It's,
trolling through to find it.
it's in different places, I think, but it's various different software that goes up to the figure that's in here. It's so you've got your real test, you've got iAuditor, you've got other things that we use, all in there, software.
There must be other suppliers. I'm playing devil's advocate, but
There are, but if you're gonna change your whole systems, then you're gonna create extra costs anyway.
but it's the sort of thing we need to have a handle on, so that we know whether we're being, again, conned is the wrong, too strong a word, but whether they are trying it on. Yeah,
I think there's no harm in querying prices and see if we can get a better deal. But what you've got to remember is, I mean, you know, we're even getting stung by other councils, aren't we? Because the biggest increase we've had was 300% and that was from Pendle Council. And with no option but to go anywhere else with that, we're glad we, because it was for election thing.
yeah, but in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of things, what we need to look at, the one, if we can shave.
We went for the cheapest. When we got this, most of this software that we've got, we went for the cheapest, and we also wanted the most suitable for what we required. Fortunately, it was the same software that was the cheaper one and the one that we really required that fit what we wanted. But what you've got to remember is there's very little of that software on the market, because we have got to have one that's sort of public services orientated, and most of the packages aren't. I think we'd only choice of about 2 or 3 hours.
That's
But
maybe
we still play one off against the other, and I think we should.
I think there's only two.
Well, there might
Well,
only be 2.
the software one is probably a poor example to choose. But you know, there are companies that will scour the gas and electric market, for instance.
Yes, that's
That's
what
what
I've
we've
done.
got.
That's what I've been talking to someone today. It is going to go up.
Yeah, but there's more than him. Somebody else
Yeah,
Somebody
I've
else
also
might
got
say
someone else
it's going to
looking
go
into
up,
it as
but
well.
it won't go up
Well,
as much.
I'm not just going
You're
with
not going
one.
to get 2019 prices off it.
No,
Because your own's more than double the home in that town, hasn't it?
well,
They have.
no, I've just got a reduction earlier on today, but not much. But
But it won't be less than what it were in 2019.
got a clue what I paid in
Oh.
2019.
Probably
The
less
reason-
than half.
I've started looking now, obviously, is to try and get the best deal I can.
Yeah,
But it is what it is. Obviously, we've
We-
done well so far in that we tied in at the right time
yeah, the
and missed the price hike.
Yeah,
but
but
because of that, now we're going to see quite a large
yes,
jump
yeah,
when
but-
we renew.
but again, out of the total budget, that's still only going to be 40,000, isn't it? Ish. So we're still not in. We're not hitting the big. There must be some bigger numbers in here that we can hit to say, is it really going to be that?
Well, it's only about,
And you know, what should
it's
we be?
about 60 grand more than it were last year, its budget.
Oh,
The figures that are in here, they're only about 60 grand more than they were last year.
it can't be a 27% increase. Then.
Well, it is, because last year we didn't put enough on and we took 150 grand out of reserves.
As we did the year before.
As we did the year before.
What is the percentage that we should have? About 35-40% in reserves to keep us going for 6 months, 3 months,
Yeah.
whatever.
But it's a percentage of your expenditure. Not of your precept. So obviously we get income in from other sources as well.
It's over, it's
It's
over.
not just 40% of your precepts, it's 40% of your expenditure.
So you keep moving away from the microphone, so I keep missing.
Yeah, I said it's not 40% of your precept, it's 40% of your expenditure
Which,
figure, which will be
Including
considerably higher. Yeah, blues is one that pulls it out of proportion. That's one of you these big ones that you're talking about.
Yeah, well, we have to look very seriously at what we are spending, you know. Do we say the events we've got are getting that perhaps we shouldn't have as many, and we drop one out?
Then again, that's only a small amount in your total budget. And it does bring income in
Yeah, but not, yeah, but
considerably more than it used to.
yeah, but it doesn't pay for itself, does it?
None of them.
So that's. So I'm,
Yeah,
these are the questions we've got to.
I know what
We've
you're
got to
saying, yeah.
do and go through. Remind me on the blue and the yellow figures.
The yellow figures are picking up from, so your insurance, they're picking up from like a separate spreadsheet. So I've put an increase on last year's premium, and then we allocate it to the different cost centres.
So
So obviously you've got benches, you've got
yeah,
other things, so it all gets, you've got motor insurance.
So all the yellows are
yellows.
that are highlighted on the.
Yeah, so that these are things that, like the software, we can just not pay it. Your insurance
You
figures.
mean we have to pay it? There's a double negative in there. You mean we have to pay it?
Yeah, I said you
You
can
not
decide
pay.
not to pay it.
Yes.
Interest charges, obviously loan charges, they are what they are. Utilities, again. And then the blue and the yellow are grounds maintenance.
Hey,
i.e.
Yeah,
your
don't you-
DM 1 through to 6.
Which the contracts were renewed last year, aren't they?
yeah. But,
Which they went up last year, if you remember. They'd gone up considerably.
Oh, yeah, I
from
know
about 3
that, I'm
years
not-
before, haven't they?
it's just that due to my own software problems this last couple of days, it took me till this morning to work out why my email wasn't working, and it's because of new Outlook. God help us.
It's awful that new Outlook.
Um,
You can choose not to have it, that kind.
yeah, no, because I can't get my council emails will only come through on the new Outlook. I assume this is something Holker have.
I don't know. I've stopped mine from changing.
I've got both on mine and I can pick them up on either.
Yeah, well, for some
So you can
reason,
run them both.
Yeah. for some reason, the old Outlook, the last time it synchronized with the server was the 23rd. So it's a fortnight ago.
Okay.
I thought, I'm not getting any email. But, you know, my phone and tablet and everything, I was getting, but I can't print easily from.
I don't think it's old because I've got both running on the same computer.
Yeah, well,
What I did, I clicked the thing to go back. You could make it up in your own mind. Oh, I don't like this software. And you can click a button to go back. Or, I went back. Then I reinstalled it again, and I ended up with both on it.
The difficulty is going to be that they're going to phase the old one out.
Yes, eventually.
Any time now.
Yeah.
So we'll be stuck with this dreadful new thing. But there we go. I mean, just to add insult to injury, I got all my emails on it, various different accounts. Then it all went funny, and I've only got the count. It'll be in the cut by
Handle that.
it'll be in the
well,
cut
I
by
never updated. Leah's did. She lost a lot of information, so she went back.
Mine updated from Microsoft, the old one, and then it went into it just went into Outlook. But yet, when I click on the icon for my mail, still get the old one up. Then it just cuts out and goes to the new, goes to Microsoft. But I don't get me council one on that one. I only get my council email on my tablet, which saves time actually.
Yeah. But obviously, last meeting, we did say that we would look through the budget to see what we could save, if there were any savings, or if we could reduce anything.
Chair,
I must admit that nobody emailed me with any suggestions.
Chair,
What I have changed
I've got one.
is you said that you wanted to postpone the roof works, so the roof replacement, for another year, given that interest rates are still high and that they may come down in the future. So I did that. So that was taken out. And some costs I got confirmation for had gone up, so I had to change those. And I think there was one thing I took out of Alkincourt's park budget. But other than that, I literally cannot find anything to reduce.
Chair, on the page expenditure and income, where you've just got the events and that, under 114 Colne Town Hall, including HLF, you've got 163,000 this year. Next year you've got 212, and 25 you've got £1 million plus.
Yes, that's because if you're borrowing £800,000 to do the roof,
Right.
I thought it was something to do. I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, even though you take it out as a loan,
Yeah.
it's actually spent in 1 year.
in your expenditure.
Yeah.
I just thought. Really, it just.
Yeah.
Okay, looking for.
Well, it does jump out at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was. Well, thank you for the explanation.
I think the problem being is the last few years, because we haven't, we didn't increase during lockdown because we didn't want to.
No.
And we only had a small, well, less than we should have done, I think, last year. But we've also been taking out of reserves both years, but we've not been putting back in because we haven't had enough surplus at the end of the year to do so. I mean, it's good that we're spending the money because we're spending it on things that are improving services, etc. However, we can't keep doing that.
No, can I make a plea again for anybody that's got a spare of the last bit that had so much a week once?
Oh,
Because I've lost my, well,
there'll be one in, won't there?
I'm afraid I don't know where it's gone. I think Glenda pinched it. That was, yeah, I know I printed it up because I've looked at it earlier this afternoon and I cannot find it.
Nothing.
Carry on.
Oh,
I'm waiting while you look at your papers.
all right. When you actually look at the, I think, well, it's better than it was. We were 30-something% before, so you know. the unfortunate thing is your TV will be turned. When you look at the percentage increase, it sounds a lot. Well, it is a lot, but the number it's increasing isn't that big.
If you think the majority of houses will be band A and B,
Well,
Oh.
yeah, I can't remember what the percentages are, but there are far more A and Bs than Cs and Ds. So the average that it would go up for most people is 30 quid a year, which is I can't do that in the end. Yeah. Or in fact, it says here 50, 60 pence or 60 pence a week. So in actual terms, it's not that much, but I'm just loath to wave it through, nod it through, or whatever the phrase is, because the percentage is so high. But even at a band D, I would think the amount that people will pay for the county and Pendle will far outweigh that, and the police, and forget what he wanted to put it up. Should have written it down. But they're looking for maximum the max. We're in a fortunate position that we're not as yet, and are unlikely to be next year as well, capped by people down in the Treasury or whoever sends the edict out.
but they could actually bring that in at any time. They probably will give 12 months notice.
Well, it depends whether it's. I just broke his computer, just blew up. I don't know whether the legislation is there and it just needs putting in, or whether it has to be voted through. I don't know whether it's by one of these, what they call them, orders, where they just say we're now enacting it. So there is an argument for doing more when else we can without risking the wrath of the government. I'm still loath to move it. You have to get somebody else to move.
I just think if you don't increase what you need to this year, then it's basically like it has done, it's going to come back to bite you. The reason why we do a 3-year budget is for this purpose, and if we are going to do the future years, it's going to raise even more. If you don't raise it so much sort of equally, then you end up having to hike it up at some point to cover your costs, which is why you do a 3-year budget. So you see what's coming up.
Is there anything in any of these figures that's I know in Pendle's ones there always used to be lines in there that you could just take out and it didn't affect anything. Is there anything? I suspect there isn't anything in this that.
When I do the budget, I look at what we'd agreed at the start of the year. I look at the current budget. I also look at what's been spent, like what was actual last year and what's been spent currently this year. So I take it all into consideration. If there's something we haven't spent for the last 2 years, so we didn't spend anything this year, and we didn't spend any last year, I take it out.
I'm-
So I do that. So,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't affect us because we're not big enough, but Pendle's budget always used to have a line in like, let him go past. I forget the exact wording of it, but it was
contingency.
well, a contingency or not filling vacancies. So, but they probably can't do that now because the whole staff isn't large enough to do that. But if you've got enough staff, there's enough in there to, you've got a couple of £100,000 probably that you can sort of shuffle around and halve and double and what have you. And I'm not. Trying to choose the right words. I'm not getting at. I assume it's you, Steve, Nathan, and everybody have had a go at it, and it's not an enviable task. See, watering seems to cost a lot. I've just
That's
noticed that.
based on wages and how many hours per day.
Which has increased since we started doing hanging baskets.
Yeah.
Everything's just,
I mean, that's something that needs looking at actually, as to how much we charge for hanging
Yes.
baskets.
We did put that up last year.
Well, I know, but we've tended to base it on the cost of the basket, and if a basket costs 10 quid, we'll
I
double
think
it.
it used to be like £30, didn't it? It's £45.
Oh, well. But I don't think somebody else have a go.
There might be a few corners, Howard, where we can save a little bit on some of the budgets, but it's not going to amount to the 150 plus grand that it's that there's a shortfall with. I mean, there is one particular instance where I know now we can either on next year's allocation, we can save either 5 or 10,000. I don't know which it is, and I'm not going to say which it is because it's money that hasn't been spent. And if I say which it is, it'll no doubt get spent. Well, there is one where there'll either be 5 or 10 left.
I can tell you where the main increases are. So you've got your grounds maintenance, which has gone up considerably.
Which we tended for what?
Yeah.
You've got your salaries. We've got extra staff. So that's another considerable amount. Last year, because I reduced the budget right down, I took all R&M budgets out. I put them back in this year to prevent us from taking out of reserves again, because we can't put back. And once you spent your reserves, you spent your reserves. So I've put repairs and maintenance budgets back in because we've had to take out our reserves this year because we didn't have any. It's shown that you strip your budget right back and it comes back to bite you.
Oh, yeah, I'm not.
So, but those are the main differences.
I know that, but we have to
increase in utilities. That's another thing.
Council tax has gone up.
And rates, business rates.
Business rates as well. By a fair lump.
I can't understand why we're not exempt. But anyway,
Because we're not a trust.
We're not a trust.
if we were a charity, let's make ourselves.
Yeah, I don't think you can
can't.
make yourself a charity. What you would need is to set up a trust, maybe a property trust or something like that. but it's who you get to run that.
Yeah, but then that.
But that would save you business rate.
In solving one small
It
problem,
probably gives you another
it
one.
creates
Yes.
27 more. I'm the one thing we do need to make sure this coming year though is that for those increases in the grounds maintenance in its widest sense, that we do keep on top of benches, bush shelters, the flipping flower. I haven't been up the park for a while now. I know Leah was pulling her hair out because they said they would have done however many flower beds with wood chippings, and they've done about one, if
Yeah.
that. So we need to make sure that what we budgeted for in those areas is spent in those areas, and unfortunately, you've only got to walk up from here. You go past the benches outside the parish church. They're all in need of a good going over, as are the ones outside the library and the market. Well, right, the market one's probably not worth it for the time being because they're going to get knocked about, presumably when they knock things down. But we just need, because those are the things people see.
Yeah.
If all the benches were, despite the colour, if they were all in sparkling thing, I don't think people would, well, they'd still grumble because it's cold.
This was another thing though that affected this year's budget, because I was told to strip it right down, which I did. The grounds maintenance only covers so much. So it's your general, you do this every 2 weeks, or you do this twice a year, or
Yeah.
Any extras are ad hoc and they're on top of.
Right.
Because I stripped the budget right back, it didn't leave much room for any ad hoc projects or any add-ons, which is why, again, we've not.
What we've got to do from now on and into next year is, now we've got 3 landsmen, is the extras, anything that we can do that is an extra that wasn't in the original contract and was an extra, should we need to have it done, needs to be done in-house with our own staff, and then we're only paying materials wherever we can do it. I know we can't do it everywhere, but we're going to have to scrutinise things, and if we can't do it in-house, we're going to have to do it in-house, aren't we?
Well,
They have been, since Mark came back, he's been working hard on some of the
Well,
benches.
Yeah, no, I just used, because I walk up and down, and that's that's the benches, you know. And somebody very kindly, in the days when we took them over, went round and put nice little notices on saying this is the property of Cornwall Town Council, so people know who to complain to, unfortunately. But they're just the things that people see. Somebody else must have some thoughts on. Somebody else must.
Well, I know it won't take a lot out of budget, but every little bit we could take out helps, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to have a serious look at some of the budget headings. I mean, you mentioned events, but I think we're going to have a look at some of other budget headings and say, you know, can we really quantify paying this much on it? Because we've 2 choices, haven't we, really, at the end of the day. We either put the precept up by the amount that we need, which is that 28%, whatever it is, or we cut a lot of things out of the budget, or it's a compromise and a bit of both, isn't it? Yeah. And whatever you take out, if you do any cuts on anything, you're bound to upset someone. Just like equally like you'd upset a lot of people if you put it up too much. So there's got to be a compromise somewhere. And maybe some of the budgets are getting, in a sense, a bit bigger than they ought to be. I don't know.
No, I think Gina's right. We probably went for the best reasons too far in the last.
You know, if you
2
take the totals
2
away
years.
on 2 of the pages in here, you can tell the exact amount we were short, can't you?
Yeah.
Because there's one figure it's 900 and odd thousand and one at 700 and odd for the same figure. It's on 2 different sheets, and the difference between the 2 figures is what we had to put back in to prop it up.
Yeah, because one was what we agreed at the start of the year in the budget process, and the other one is what it currently is, because we've had to take from reserves.
And where we've cut some at routine maintenance and such things, and it's fallen over, and when wheels fallen off, and we've had to put some money out of reserves to do the work. That's what that difference in the 2 costings come to.
Yeah.
And it's likely to happen every year, probably, because that's what things are costing now.
Well, we don't have double decker. You know, a bus could come down Albert Road and crash into the town hall, but which is an unforeseen. It might happen. That's why we've got insurance.
But you will always get
We
things
might
like
get
that.
another storm, I bet, or I don't know what letter we're up to now. You know, we could have been in Cumbria. If what Cumbria had hit us, we'd have had extra costs, because I'm sure we'd have tried to open a room downstairs. What have you. And one of the problems is that this building is 100 and whatever years old, and you know, the heating system was running on a wing and a prayer. We could get it must have had a coal boiler in when it was built. We get one back. Now we're reducing carbon. You could all take it in turns. You know, those are the longer term things that we've got to look at to make it more sustainable.
We'll do things that springs to mind where it's also costing us money. Is we've mentioned gas going up, and obviously we've got the cheapest price we can find now. Hopefully that won't be the price we pay. We'll find one even cheaper between now and May, hopefully. But another example with that is we've got a clapped out heating system which is not efficient. So in turn, it's using more gas than it ought to do because it's an old clapped out, not efficient one. The part work is enormous and shouldn't, you know, everybody's heating systems on microboard now. These are on about 3-inch diameter pipes. It's totally ridiculous amount of water it's having to heat up, and that's costing us far too much with gas. But to replace the boilers is 50 grand, and that's not including the part work. But we're going to have to do it to get the boilers to be more efficient. Otherwise, we're going to be paying through the nose for gas all the time. So that's another expense. Another thing that's been dropped on us as well
in this.
in the last couple of weeks is the shop next door is empty. We have done some work getting some quotes to get, you know, to do some building work on it, which is probably going to be 6 months down the line by the time it's all. We've got to get planning permission for it. Then we've got to get the work done. So it's going to be at least 6 months minimum that shop is still empty. We have now been told by Pendle Borough Council that whilst it's empty, we've got to pay the full business rates on it and pay the bid levy, which is all something we didn't have to pay before. So that's an increase. If you want an example of some of the increases we're getting, then is that not true?
Plus, we're now paying standing charges for electricity.
Yeah.
As well.
And your water charges are going up as well.
Yeah, so they can chuck more.
What we have done, but it can't say much, is we've looked into getting a different go on a different tariff with the electric, etc. in that shop, and gone for one where the actual cost of the unit tariff for the actual energy is dearer, but the daily charge is less. So we've gone for one like that because you're just paying daily charge and not using it.
We're not using it.
So we've actually done that, but it isn't a big saving, but it does help. But I couldn't believe it when we got stung for business rates on that, and you were sort of tongue in cheek saying, you know, why do we pay business rates at all? Why can't we be exempt? And then they put more stuff up onto us.
Well, how can it be? How can we have to pay a levy when there's no tenant for it?
I know,
Well-
I queried it. But
It's been
yeah.
queried and said, no, you have to pay it.
Tell them we're not paying. We'll do
They were threatening to take us to court.
we'll do a clay cross. Is it clay cross? Well, somewhere they did. So anyway, that's.
So where are we going to go from here? We could say to all council members, can you contact Gina if you've got any suggestions of anything to take out of budget? I know what'll happen. And I'm not getting at anybody at all. But no one has come up with any suggestions to Gina for something to knock out because, and it's not an easy task to do it. So we'll draw a blank with it if we do that.
Well, I think out of fairness to everybody, if we send the just the oh, I've lost just no
The summaries.
just that
What, just the
Just
those
the-
ones?
just the this is the well maybe that with the
Right, yeah.
that with the, because if you've just got the summary, it's a bit hard to,
Yeah, it
at
is.
least that way you can follow what it is. Just say,
I think you ought to just send one of the summaries, not both.
yeah,
Having
just
both sheets there,
No,
with
no,
some
just-
updated figures in as well, but
No, no.
it muddies the issue, and you can't see what the gap is.
Yeah, just send
Sure,
just send
yeah.
the one thing and that and say, look, what this is what it is. What do you think we please don't add anything. But if
What can we do?
if you want to add anything, you got to tell us what's coming out to balance it. You know, so if you want to, I don't know, what's that? There's a 50. So I can't say that. Oh well, it's public loan board, but if that was
Something else.
something, well, yeah,
That's
so-
the problem with most of them. Is that
Brian,
I know it doesn't look good at an increase at 28% plus. But I think the Conservatives wanted a 0% increase last year.
yeah,
And if
It
we'd
could
have
have been
taken
far
that,
worse.
it would have been a far
Yes.
worse.
it would have been far worse now. And you'd probably all remember from last year, because you were getting fed up with me for it, but I kept plugging it and plugging it and plugging it last year and saying it wasn't going up enough and it had come back this year and bite us. And to a certain degree, it has, but
but like I found one that could go in or out. I'm not suggesting this is but if somebody said, oh, there's £1,000 here for signs and notice boards, that's not,
is that not part of the grounds maintenance?
not, just looking for a line that's something
I
more.
know, I'm just saying.
Oh, it's troubling. No, it's playgrounds.
what's
No, what I'm trying to say, if somebody says, oh, well, repairs and maintenance is, if somebody says, oh, we can make that 5,000 or 15,000. We've got to know where if somebody wants to knock something out, it's got to be justified that it could still work. If it's a repairs and maintenance, right, take it out. We know that's probably not a goer because Alkin Courts needed some, was it Alkin Courts needed an
Right.
extra swing put him back and
Oh, yeah,
and stuff.
we had various
one,
different
big one.
springs stolen. 2 swings stolen
Well,
in different areas.
Or they want to put it up to 20,000 instead of 10. Where's that 10 coming from? It can't come from the magic money tree. It's got to have a somewhere else that it's coming from. Well, now this, I know you've got to do the inspections, but there's 15,000 in inspections. So if you wanted to up one, you've got to take one. It's still got to add up to 25,000. However,
Yeah.
that's a poor example. But that's the page I turned to. So that's, but if to come up with it before Wednesday, I think 17th,
19.
19th.
2 weeks today.
So
So ideally, next week would be,
I was going to say whatever next Friday
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. A week tomorrow-ish is when
Yes.
the agenda will go out, but some of
Yeah,
it
but-
will go out later. Oh, that.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's my suggestion. I don't know whether
What?
that we send that to people.
Yeah,
That's
Right.
that's as it stands at the moment. If people have they've got, you know, they can't come rolling in on the day of the meeting with, we want to take this out, that out. You know, you've got to be clearly told. It's got to give people chance to look at the implications of what's being suggested. Such as, oh, well, we can't run the playground with no inspections because it's illegal requirement.
but it's only going up 19th as a draft to get into it.
it won't be a draft.
Yeah, because it's coming back here again, yeah, in January. Well,
But the decision will have to be made in January.
Yeah. No,
and the
aware
January
of
full
that.
council with no choice because it's to go in on 1st of February.
Yeah, we know that.
What we don't know yet, which may be a bonus or it may not be a bonus, is we don't know which way, if any, the base rate's going to move. Now, I'm hopeful we'll gain on it.
Don't think it'll move.
Well, I think it will. There's quite a lot of new build gone on that.
Oh, you mean
this
that base
year.
rate? Sorry.
The base rate. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you're thinking
I
of the.
was
the back
thinking,
tax, yeah.
yeah, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
there's all the ones off Harrison Drive come on.
There's the Harrison Drive ones, there's
Yeah.
more
There's
on,
still,
There's
it's
some
still,
on the
there's still
lower road.
properties down Waterside coming online, isn't there?
Where?
Down near you. They're still moving into them down there, aren't they?
Wait, not Deerwood.
Have they finished? Yeah, but there'll have been some come on this year since.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, so they'll go in as an addition for next year.
and what's even more helpful is there'll be a few more at Windermere Avenue.
Yeah, so
Few of them.
I think we
We might save a
we
bit.
should be better. It should be better rather than worse.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's such a nonsense with council tax as its base.
Yeah.
Well, A, it's based on figures that were first thought up in the 90s.
Yeah.
So they're way out of
Yeah.
date. And in areas like this, we've got too many, well, not too many. We've got A's and B.
That's why, in
Bands.
proportion to some other district councils, our council tax is higher than most of the others.
Yeah, because
Because we're in such a position where it's the A's and B's houses that's having to find the bulk of the money because the bigger percentage is in that band. If you get a more affluent area and there's a lot of D's and E's and F's even, your basic council tax is lower because it's higher because they're further up band.
Yeah.
And that's why we're getting hammered here. And the whole system isn't fair, is it?
And unfortunately, they're not making land anymore, so.
Oh.
More conflict. Allow room.
So what are we saying then? That I email this out to everyone,
Yeah, just
Well,
that,
those papers and the one,
make sure you send
The
the
ones
the
that
right
are
sheet
summary.
of the summary.
yeah, so the current budget.
Yes, the one that has the 750 figure in, whatever it is.
Oh, that one.
Yes,
Yeah, that one.
because that emphasises how big the gap is.
Yeah,
The other doesn't. One of the sheets is showing the gap shut up by putting reserves in, which we don't want to be doing again.
which is the seventh.
Ooh.
there's
The
that
two
one.
the two sheets that are landscape
Yeah,
on the top line
yeah.
for 23-24.
Oh, the seven, yeah, the
Yes.
754 one.
Yes,
Sorry,
that
I was looking-
emphasises the gap that it's short rather
Yeah, yeah.
than the other page, which has a cut down version of it where it was
Where it's 900.
backs, you know,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
propped up with reserves.
Well, the 754912 is the actual precept
Yes,
that we get. Whereas the 907312 is the current budget because we've
Because we
Because we've put some
Yeah,
reserves.
sorry, yeah,
Yes.
no,
we've taken
yes.
from reserves.
and if you take that out of reserves again, yeah,
yeah, no, I looked.
so that's the way forward then,
Yeah.
and hopefully. But it doesn't have to be a great wodge of money out of one line in budget. It can come in a lot of bits if someone can find it.
Yeah, and can I, having grumbled, can I thank Gina and Steve and the other people that have done it? Because it's not easy. I know I had to do a budget for a little factory, never mind. Such a complicated.
Yeah, it doesn't help when you've got a cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
You've just been through a pandemic.
Well, we have, but which is why I think any talk of increases has to be in numbers, not percentages. I used to get an example of we must have a percentage of staff absence. You know, we've only got, is it 9?
9
Okay.
staff.
Yeah, so one member of staff off and you're already 10%. Well, in fact, it's more, isn't it? So, you know, you've got to take into account what the figure is based on. You know, 1% of not very much is still not very much. 27% of not very much is
Not a lot much more.
not much more, but it's getting to something that most people can put on with a couple of percent.
Yeah.
Bitter experience. Still going.
Right, so can we just vote then on that, what's been moved and seconded as a way forward? Thank you. Town hall maintenance,
Sorry, who
I moved
who's
it.
seconded?
seconded it, you were Patricia, yeah.
Cliff Hundred. It says Cliff Hundred on the front of there.
Town hall maintenance now,
Yeah. So the clock is currently not working
again.
again.
So
What do you mean again? It's not worked for.
I know. Well, he
it
came
was
to look.
2 days.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
dear.
came to
Well.
look at it on the 25th, actually, the day of the Christmas in Colne event,
Oh, right.
in the morning, and it was working. But then I think on Monday it stopped working. Whether it was Monday night or Sunday night, I'm not sure, but it was stuck at 1:30, I think. In the morning, I think it was. But yeah, so we're currently waiting for Matt to come and have a look at it. We have had some pumps go on the boilers,
Some
pumps.
pumps.
2 pumps have gone, meaning that the front of the building, or this side of the building was warm, the other side of the building is freezing. So the lucky ones are sat in reception, and it's nice and cozy in there. But unfortunately, my office is freezing, and the middle office isn't that much warmer either. Yeah, so we have had to replace those, which was around £1,600 to do that. We have had a quote to replace the boilers. Obviously, we've got 3 boilers at the moment, one of which I don't think is working anyway, but they looked to replace them with 2 higher wattage boilers. And the price of that came through at, I think it's just under £50,000.
Sorry, the traffic went past at a very opportune moment there.
It was just under £50,000
50,000.
for the
Oh, right, no.
replacement. Now we are looking at getting 2 other quotes, and we're just waiting for
It-
people to come and look.
With that, would they both need to run or run?
I think they would both, yeah. But obviously they would be a lot more efficient than what's there now.
Is that just for the boilers, not the
Not the pipe work, no, that is literally just replacing the boilers with some more efficient ones.
Probably if they go to 2, they'll alter how they run. That's the normal practice. They usually, if it's really cold, they will piggyback, and one will kick in. If it's needing extra to support it, the other one will kick in and piggyback on back a bit. If it's not that cold a temperature outside, it'll run on one. But what ours don't do either, and that's part of the problem, and that's why one's clapped out. It's an old system, and it always brings the same one in first.
2, 3.
On the new setups now, when they're kicking in and there's only one kicks in, they alternate so that they both get equal wear. Otherwise, you end up with one getting clapped out. It drags the system down.
No, that's what I meant. I mean, I've had not a heating system like that, but a compressed air system where if you needed a lot, they were both on. If not, one was on and the other kicked in. But it went 1, 2, then it went 2.
But they have said that we can run it on a thermostat, so basically on temperature.
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah. At the moment, we can't do
It's either
anything.
on or
It's either on or it's off.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think.
So I'm thinking that when we get the 3 quotes, I'm thinking we're going to have to make a decision and get the work done for the boilers before they go completely, and then we're stuck.
Yeah.
But we also then ought to be able to. They'll be more economical. They'll still be pumping around these giant pipes, but at least it'll be a more economical burner system that's creating the heat. So there should be a saving there as well.
Yeah, and then possibly I've never seen any thermostats anywhere in this building. It may be that thermostats could be not all at the first, the one off, but as it goes off.
As it goes, yeah.
See, some rooms have got radiator stats on,
Yeah.
but they're a waste of space because there's more water in the pipes feeding the radiators than what there is in the radiator. So even when radiator stat turns off, it's still pumping hot water out the pipework system. So it's ludicrous. It's how it is. Simple as that.
It was stated,
Yeah.
probably when it was put in.
But I don't.
All right, must have had a coal boiler when it's, I would guess.
I don't think there is anything else on town hall maintenance other than I'll ask Gina a question because I haven't been in and had a look. Last time I asked, we were told that the raining in did seem to have stopped. even with all this heavy rain we've had in the last few weeks, is that still the case?
It is still the case.
So that's good news. That's one lot of good news at least.
So yeah, whatever they did seems to have worked. Toward,
And I
So
know the
far.
scaffolding's gone now as well, hasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. Right, so seeing as that were only for information, can we move on then to items for a future month's agenda? I think we ought to leave it at budget.
We've
and-
got enough.
And give that a good
Particular
cracking and
business.
and spend as much time as we need to do on it. On that. The date and time of the next regular meeting is Tuesday, the 9th of January. Exclusion of the public, I think all we need to do then is for the last item is to turn the.
In fact,
don't know.
is it the 2-1? Is it the minutes and the?
I think if you go to the bottom right, it should say end for all. I can't see one actually.
Right in the top right-hand corner, Steve.